stop sharing audio, please. Sorry about the technical glitch. So we will be getting right back into the slides. So as we shared, Hinduism represents one of the most progressive yet ancient traditions, and it has contributed so much in the dimensions of vegetarianism, science, peace, and so much more. So let us understand exactly what the what Hinduism has contributed to the world and what it the temple-based sciences which Hinduism revolves around. Be getting back to the slides in a moment. So actually, Hinduism represents the world's most yet progressive religion, and religions where each more and more enlightened beings could be produced, so that enlightened civilization could be kept alive, and its great gifts shared with the world. So let us look at some of the references for Hindu nations from our Hindu scriptures. The Hindu nation ruled by Bhagavan the Rama Rajya, was described in the Valmiki Ramayana as there were no widows to lament, nor was any danger from wild animals, nor any fear born of diseases. The world was bereft of thieves and robberies. No one felt worthless, nor did old people perform obsequies concerning youngsters. Every creature felt pleased. Everyone was intent on virtue, turning their eyes towards Rama alone. Creatures did not kill one another. And the description continues. People survived for thousands of years with thousands of their progeny, all free of illness and grief. The trees were bearing flowers and fruits regularly without any injury from pests and insects. And the clouds were raining in time, and the wind was delightful to the touch. Every caste was performing their own duties, satisfied with their own work and bereft of any greed. People were intent on virtue and lived without telling lies. All the people were endowed with excellent characteristics. All were engaged in virtue. And the Hastinapur kingdom, ruled by Yudhishthira, was described in the Srimad Mahabharata. Devas granted rains to fulfill all wants. The world became free of all diseases. There was no hunger or thirst anywhere. There was no mental suffering. Those without livelihood were given livelihood. Though there was abundance all around, there were no worldly worries left for anyone, and there was no cause for fear either. Happiness on earth was, in fact, even greater than in the heavens. And some of the contributions of Hindu nations include enlightenment, health, medicine, art, aviation, dance and music, clothes and jewelry, social system, judicial systems, political systems, science, and much, much more. So how were our Hindu nations destroyed? The destruction of Hindu civilization began with the Islamic invasions, which happened between the 800s and 1700 AD. And this was the physical destruction of the Hindu civilization. And Will Durant, a famous historian on India, describes that the Mohammedan conquest of India is probably the bloodiest story in history. The Islamic historians and scholars have recorded with great glee and pride the slaughters of Hindus, forced conversions, abduction of Hindu women, children, and children to slave markets, and the destruction of temples carried out by the warriors of Islam during 800 to 1700 AD. Millions of Hindus were converted to Islam by sword during this period. Millions more were raped and murdered and dismembered. And in the Islamic law prescribed for Hindus, it as conveyed by Khilji, it was described that Hindus are like mud. If silver is demanded from them, they must with greatest humility offer gold. If a Mohammedan desires to spit into a Hindu's mouth, the Hindu should open it wide for that purpose. God created Hindus to be slaves of the Mohammedans. The Prophet hath ordained that if Hindus do not accept Islam, they should be imprisoned, tortured, and finally put to death, and their property confiscated. To keep the Hindus in abasement is especially a religious duty because they are the most inveterate enemies of the Prophet. You can see that the physical destruction of the Hindu civilization was one of the most barbaric and savage destructions of a civilization. And during the Islamic invasions, over 200 million Hindus were slaughtered by the Muslim invaders. Over 100,000 temples were destroyed, and over 1 million deities and sculptures were destroyed. And during the description, the conquering armies burnt villages, devastated the land, plundered people's wealth, took Brahmins and children and women of all classes captive, flogged them with thongs of raw hide, carried a moving prison with them, and converted the prisoners to obsequious Turks. And the second phase of the British occupation, the second phase of the destruction of the Hindu civilization was the British occupation, which lasted from 1700 when India became a free nation. This was the economic and psychological destruction of the Hindu civilization. Again, Will Durant described, I have seen a great people starving to death before my eyes, and I am convinced that this exhaustion and starvation are due not, as their beneficiaries claim, to overpopulation and superstition, but to the most sordid and criminal exploitation of one by another in all recorded history. And during the British occupation, the British Empire used all possible means to destroy the Hindu civil and cultural institutions in order to delegitimize and demoralize the indigenous people of India so that they would become slaves in their own land. This included discriminatory laws to instill feelings of racial inferiority, engineering famines to starve the natives into submission, and annexing Hindu kingdoms to undermine native rule, and mistranslating our Hindu scriptures to instill anti-Hindu narratives, destroying the indigenous Gurukul education system, which was the backbone of Hinduism, and destroying the local industries and forcing importation of British goods, and finally banning Indians from owning or producing firearms. And during the British occupation, over $45 trillion was looted from India over the course of 200 years. 45 million Hindus died due to artificial famines and imposed poverty by the British policies, and over 680 native kingdoms were usurped by the British Raj. Sashi Tharoor has described that the British came to one of the richest countries of the world. Over 200 years of exploitation, looting, and destruction reduced it to a poster child of third world poverty. And the phase 3 of the destruction, the secular India, which has lasted from 1947 to the present day, and this is ruled by brown faces, British attitudes and policies towards Hindus. And this Nehru has described that has described Hindus, what a disgusting savage people we are. Politics, progress, socialism, communism, science, where are they before this black religious savagery? India can never be a Hindu republic. And the principal architect and the first law minister, the principal architect of the Indian Constitution, the first law minister of India, has described If Hindu Raj does become a fact, it will no doubt be the greatest calamity for this country. No matter what Hindus say, Hinduism is a menace to liberty, equality, and fraternity. It is incompatible with democracy. Hindu Raj must be prevented at any cost. And the modern day Indian legal system, academia, and media all systematically undermine, suppress, and delegitimize Hindu institutions and culture by various means. And this includes the Indian Constitution has established government control and taxation of Hindu temples, schools, and other institutions, while other religions are free from this interference. And the Articles 26 through 30 of the Indian Constitution discriminate against Hindus by giving special rights and benefits to non Hindus. And this includes government benefits, scholarship, Hindu and Hindu kingdoms and Hindu kingdoms and self-governance has been abolished, and anti-superstition laws have been passed to criminalize Hindu practices. Mainstream Indian academia has described Hinduism as sexist, racist, backwards, and oppressive, and the negative media portrayals of Hindus in Bollywood and TV have also contributed to this anti-Hindu ecosystem. And the media narratives were also used to stereotype and demoralize Hindus. And this happened through Bollywood and other mainstream gods and gurus as cartoonish, dishonest, corrupt sex fiends, and in a manner that was similar to the British imperial propaganda. Media narratives are used to shape human consciousness and further political agendas. Racist British colonial stereotypes have portrayed Hindus as superstitious, backwards, dishonest, and corrupt, and have been perpetuated by their brown British successors in modern India, still unabated. So let us understand what is the need for the revival of Hindu nations and how the Supreme Council of Hinduism has been reviving Hindu nations. So the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism has given a vision for the Hindu civilization. During the time of Mahabharata, Hindus had 56 deshas, 200 states, 1,700 samsthanas, and 10,000 sampradayas. In all 56, we Hindus are persecuted. In the last one, in all 56, we Hindus are persecuted. Now, we have lost all of the 56. The last one to fall was Nepal. I am the collective voice of all the persecuted Hindus. I will revive and rebuild a Hindu nation built on the Veda-bearing Hindus as a safe haven for all the persecuted Hindus. And what is Kailasa? This revival for reviving this whole life of enlightened civilization and all the great things it has offered to the world, bringing legitimacy to all the offerings Sanatana Hindu Dharma and sharing it with the whole world is the purpose of this Kailasa, the Hindu nation. Kailasa is the revival of the cosmic constitution. Kailasa is the model nation of how enlightened civilization should be living and administered. And politics, judiciary, education, economy, everything will be revived as Paramashiva revealed in the Veda Agama, the Sanatana Hindu Dharma scriptures. Being one of the most persecuted civilizations, Hinduism is on the brink of extinction, such that the next generation may only know about Hinduism through our history textbooks. And today, Hinduism is a political orphan. The preservation and restoration of Hinduism's spiritual and cultural heritage is impossible without a national identity. So what can we do to save Hinduism? Let us reclaim our Hindu identity. So let us see how we can do that. First, we need to understand that if you are Hindu and if you are enjoying health, wealth, richness, success, peace, happiness, and are respectable, have a stable life, have a stable family life, have the best mental health, understand that Hinduism is responsible. Hindu identity is responsible. Hindu scriptures are responsible. And Hindus are the richest and most successful ethnic community in the world. The Hindu scriptures, the Hindu lifestyle, our enlightened masters are responsible for this. Hindu thought currents are responsible for this. Hindus are the most educated religious group in the US as per the Pew reports, and this was reported in the Hindu. So let us reclaim our Hindu identity. It is not just anti-Hindu elements being active. It is the responsible Hindus being inactive that is responsible for this whole destruction of Hinduism. Let us now take responsibility for Hinduism and let all the Hindus all over the world reclaim our Hindu identity. So what is the responsibility of Hindus? Devi has revealed that Hindus have a responsibility to protect Dharma and to protect the wonderful things that Hinduism has offered to the world. It is a responsibility of Hindus to revive this enlightened civilization again and again and give all the gifts of the enlightened civilization to humanity. Revival of the enlightened civilization, the Kailasa, the Hindu nation, is this revival need of humanity. So this is an invitation to all of the Hindus, all the born Hindus, the practicing Hindus, those who are sympathetic towards Hinduism or Hinduism, those who want to enjoy part of this revival. You can actually sign up today to become an e-citizen of Kailasa at kailasa.org, and you can offerings and benefits the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism has given to the world through Kailasa. And now let us watch why we need a Hindu nation and what is the need of humanity, why Kailasa is needed. So let us watch this video now.
Contribution. Hinduism, Veda Agamas have great things to contribute to the world. Like the great power manifestation science, the ancient culture and arts, the ancient lifestyle truths, the ancient medical practices and medicinal knowledge, the ancient indigenous cultural heritage and jewelry, perfume, dance, music, in every level, Hinduism has so much to contribute. Veda Agamic traditions have so much to contribute to share all this with the world, to contribute to the world. Hindus need to tell the world what they are contributing in every level. The brand of Hinduism itself is enriching and empowering and enlightening. Hinduism is all about enlightening the world, empowering, enlightening, enriching the world, contributing. That is our spiritual life. That is our spiritual strength. That is our spiritual core principle. O humanity, I request you with folded hands, some one corner of the world, if you just give me few hundred acres, I will keep this whole science alive. Leave it for the whole humanity freely. Fortune, power to decode all this Hindu medicinal system, Hindu judiciary system, Hindu social law and order system, Hindu power manifestation system, Hindu mental sciences system, Hindu yogic sciences, the sciences of Hindu biology, Hindu physics, Hindu psychology, Hindu physiology, Hindu chemistry, all this Paramashiva has given me the power to and I have collected, not only I have collected and organized, I can decode. This whole science can be kept alive in any one corner of the world. Just few hundred acres are given for me to live peacefully and exist peacefully. I can store this whole thing alive and contribute it to humanity. Humanity can become better and better and better. I can make the planet Earth so much better place to live. I am here to contribute and I will continue to contribute. As long as I am allowed to live, I will contribute. I have collected all the remaining available scriptures, maybe 2 crore books. 2 crore means 20 million, I think, books on Hindu physics, Hindu chemistry, Hindu biology, Hindu physiology, Hindu psychology, Hindu law and order, Hindu social system, the power manifestation sciences of Hinduism, yogic sciences of Hinduism. I have collected and Paramashiva has given me the blessings and power to decode. I have decoded and continuing to decode them. If the humanity, somebody is kind enough to give me few hundred acres in one corner of the world and let me all the scriptures there and go on sharing with the world, revealing this whole sciences to the world and go on contributing. I don't need anything other than one cup of curd rice every day. That's all. A cup of curd rice per day over. I can go on be giving this to the world. I can add to the world. I can make the world a better place to live. That's all I have to say. Thousands of medicines are described detail in ancient Siddha and Ayurvedic scriptures. Paramashiva has given me the power to decode them, read them, and properly translate and map them to the modern day human language. And I am ready to work 20 hours a day. I just need few hundred acres where I can sit peacefully and keep this library, run a Gurukul where thousands of people can learn this and share it with the world. Understand? I am only interested in contributing. If we can decode all this great knowledge, whole world can prosper from this knowledge. Whole world can enjoy from this knowledge. If I prosper, I will only create a university. I will not create anything else. If the Hindus prosper, they will only create education institutions. Because Hinduism is all about giving, contributing. If I prosper, I'll create university. That's all. Kailasa is all about university to deep sciences and share with the world. Understand? Every day I am sitting and going on decoding, writing notes on my books and writing details on my books. Whether it is making human beings manifest powers, and I have also now started downloading and decoding the science of making animals manifest powers. Whether making people manifest powers or healing, in every level, life is all about contribution.
Yes. The Kailasa, Hinduism, is all about contribution, as Supreme Concept Hinduism has said again and again. Now that we've understood what is the responsibility of a nation, let us move into the next segment, where we will understand some of the offerings that we can make to Devi Parashakti and how we can connect with Devi after having so many blessings, revelations, guidance over the last several months from Devi. Let us see how we can show our gratitude for her. So we will be beginning this next segment very shortly.